right, guys, we're back for another HuntStand hunt class. As you can see though, things are a little bit different this time around. In the past when we've done these, they've been really successful. We've done several over the last couple of years, covered a bunch of different topics, and the whole point of these is to engage with you guys, teach you everything about HuntStand, all the ins and outs, all the strategies, the ways that you can use the app most effectively. We like to cover a whole bunch of different topics throughout the year when we run these classes. But in the past, we've run them on Zoom calls. We've done live on Zoom, and we decided to switch the format up a little bit now to make it a little more polished and easier for you to be able to digest everything that we have going on. So the format's gonna look a little bit fancier, but overall, we're here to just deliver information to you guys and engage with you here. This is a YouTube premiere, so we're right here with you, joining you in the comments. If you have any questions, if you have any type of feedback you wanna add, or if you wanna engage amongst each other, please feel free to do so. Hit us with those questions. We're right here with you to answer those questions. And then after this video is posted and after this live event, we'll follow up and we'll hit the comment section again as things roll in and more questions and things like that come around. So I'm here with Will Cooper. We got a lot to cover and they're gonna wanna stick around till the end.
Yeah, you definitely wanna stick around till the end, and this is specifically for the premiere. We've got something special. We got a nice giveaway that's gonna be coming here at the very end, so make sure you stick around till the end of today.
So the topic of this hunt class, as you can see here, is HuntStand 101. So we're not gonna get heavy into hunting strategies on this one, but we are going to equip you with all the knowledge you need to be able to run the app the right way, inside and out. We're gonna cover all the functions of the app from front to back. So buckle down, we've got a lot to cover here. But I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of you, whether you're a beginner user or an advanced user. You're probably going to be able to pull some nugget out of this presentation that's going to be able to help you use HuntStand better. So I'm going to kick right into it and bring you to the dashboard, which is the very first screen that you're going to see when you open the HuntStand app. So when you first open HuntStand, this dashboard is what you're going to see first. And before I get into this, I just want to mention we are presenting this on an iPad that we have linked into this TV. So presentation is just a little bit different how it scales compared to your phone, but all the button configurations and everything that you're going to see here are going to act the same exact way no matter what type of device you're using, whether it be an Android, an iPhone, or an iPad. Either way, it's the same app, same configuration, so there shouldn't be anything confusing with that other than just maybe a few spots where it scales differently. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see when you jump into the HuntStand app is the dashboard. Very simple. It's a quick access area for all the key tools that people use the most often in the HuntStand app. Starting with mapping. So this is just a quick map snapshot of your hunt area, but you tap on this, it's going to bring you into the full mapping experience where you can do all the mapping and e-scouting. Right below that, you're going to see the current weather conditions for your hunt area. And if you tap there, it's going to bring you into more detailed options for the weather conditions. Below that, we've got some quick access buttons, starting with property info, probably the most utilized feature in the HuntStand app. We've got property information for all 50 states, landowners, property boundaries, landowner information. A lot of people use that for hunting and other things actually, but property info, you tap there, it'll automatically open up the map view. You see those boundaries, you see those landowner names and information, really easy to access. If you're out in the field, or even if you're sitting at home e-scouting and you think of something, you quickly want to drop a map marker, whether it be a deer sighting or turkey sign or whatever it might be, tap that, brings you right into the mapping experience so you can quickly drop a marker. The track path button you see right here, we can't demonstrate that right now because we're in a studio and that's a live function that you want to be able to use in the field. But what happens when you enable that is it grabs your current real-time location using the GPS and HuntStand, and when you start it, it will follow you and it'll actually create a path of exactly where you've walked. Useful for a number of applications, but that's something that you're going to want to be able to use while you're in the field, and we'll pop up a quick screen recording to show you exactly what that looks like. Very popular tool and nice to have here on the dashboard so you can access it quickly while you're in the field. And then finally, the fourth thing we've got here for the quick access buttons would be map layers. So immediately brings you into the map layer options that we have in HuntStand. We pride ourselves in the number of layer options that we have. So you're going to want to take advantage of those. Different layers work better for different types of scenarios, e-scouting and in the field. Now as you go down from there, we've got the whitetail activity forecast. If you're a deer hunter, you want to subscribe to HuntStand Pro Whitetail. It's going to give you the most comprehensive suite of tools that we have for whitetail hunters at HuntStand, including the whitetail activity forecast is one of them. And what this is literally the single most accurate predictive tool for whitetail movements that's ever been created. It was designed by our guy Brian Murphy, longtime whitetail biologist, along with some of the other top dogs in the whitetail community. So the whitetail activity forecast is an excellent tool for making the most of your time during deer season and planning your hunts. And then as we move down from there, we got our field notes section. This is just a quick view of some of the recent content that we have coming out from HuntStand on HuntStand.com in our field notes section. We put out a ton of content throughout the course of the year, guys. Like every week, we've got articles, videos, Will hosts a podcast. We got our man Josh Honeycutt populating the website with a bunch of content. All of it is to help you improve your experience, give you better tools and knowledge to be a better hunter, and also just keep you motivated and inspired to stay out there and keep doing what we love to do as hunters. So the field notes, right here you'll see just some quick previews of some of the more recent content that we have going on, something that you might want to check out as you're sitting in your tree stand and you're bored one day and waiting for a deer to walk in, you want to watch a video or something, or anything that you want to do sitting at home, give a look to our field notes. Lots of different stuff rolling in there on a regular basis. So that's really the nuts and bolts of the main screen on the HuntStand dashboard. As you get into some of the other menus, like up here with your profile and then that hamburger menu on the right, you're going to have access to some account tools for account management, to be able to update your profile, your password, subscription level, that sort of thing. Just very basic, high-level account management stuff. Really easy to access here in the dashboard. But the most important thing that you can get to from the dashboard is our hunt area management. So I'm going to kick it over to Will Cooper. He's going to explain what hunt areas are all about and how to manage them right here in HuntStand.
So the first thing I want to show you guys is how to get started in HuntStand and starting out with mapping. And the first thing to do is to create a hunt area. Now the reason why you want to do this is applicable across many use cases, but you may have different pieces of property you want to set this up for. So I want to show you guys how to get that set up. And the way to do that, we've got this drop-down menu up here at the top. Now I've already got some hunt areas populated in here so you guys can see what that's going to look like. But to create a hunt area, you're going to see the giant Add a Hunt Area button here. Now for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to set up this hunt area on a piece of public we found in Ohio. Now hopefully that doesn't mess up any of you guys out there and I'm calling out your public spots, but there's a couple of different ways you can set the location for your hunt area. And specifically, you want to set your home marker for this, where that hunt area is going to be, where your general mapping is going to be. You don't want to set it at your house, where you're going to be doing your e-scouting from. Set it for the area you're going to be hunting on. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can either find it by swiping over, or you can search for your location a couple of different ways via address, coordinates, or you can search for property information as well. Now I've already got the coordinates selected for this, so I'm just going to paste them in here for you guys. We're going to search. And now that's going to bring up the property that we have selected for the tutorial. Once you have your property found, you're going to see a set location button, and this is important because wherever you set this location, this is going to give you all your weather details, your whitetail activity forecast, and all the other finite details you want to know about the property. So you're going to set that location for you want it. You can set the hunt area name, call it whatever you want. We're going to set this one for demo. You can add in all the different notes, details that you want for this area. You're going to hit save, and you've got your first hunt area set up. All right, so for the sake of this tutorial, we've already got a hunt area set up for you guys that's marked up. We've got some really cool things we want to show y'all. When it comes to your hunt areas, the nice thing about them is you're able to share these with buddies. So if you've got lease mates, club members, and other folks out there that you want to have access to this property info that they may be stepping out on the first time and heading to a blind for the first time, it's pretty nice to be able to have that. So I want to show you guys how to share a hunt area. So to share your hunt area with your buddies or lease mates, it's simple. You've got a drop-down menu at the top of the dashboard screen. You're going to tap that. You've got your list of hunt areas, and then you're going to be able to select Manage Hunt Areas. And from there, you're going to have a list of your own hunt areas, and then you'll also have a list of hunt areas that have been shared with you. And for the sake of this, I don't have that. So I'm going to select the HuntStand demo area that we have, and you're going to have Share Hunt Area as your option. You're going to have a few different options here of what you can do with that hunt area, but you're going to want to select Share Hunt Area. And then you can see I've already got this shared with Josh. So you can send this via email to your buddies, or down below you've got Share Hunt Area via link. So you can tap that and you'll have the capability to actually send the hunt area invite via text. So to invite buddies, it's simple. All you have to do, once you have the hunt area selected, you can come in, enter their email address. I'm going to send this on over to Josh. And when you go to send that, you're going to be able to give that person different levels of permission. So they're going to be able to have viewer access, member access, or admin access. So depending on whether or not you want them to be able to have the capability to edit the map, or whenever they see things, they're able to mark things up, just depending on what you want them to have access to, you can give that to them. So I'm going to give Josh admin access for this hunt area. So once that invitation is sent, your buddy is then going to be able to accept that, and they're going to have full access depending on what you gave them on that hunt area.
I'm just going to jump in here for a second before Will explains how to change the hunt area home location, which probably isn't something you're going to want to do too often, but if there ever is a situation where you want to, it's helpful to know how. So he'll explain that in a second. But what I wanted to say, just so everybody's clear on the concept of hunt areas, the reason these are important is because it really allows you to organize your maps in a really nice way. So whether you have a hunting lease, a hunting club, a block of public land that you hunt regularly, anything like that, the whole purpose of the hunt area is so you can organize all those map objects almost as if like you were going to have somebody create a printed map for you for a property. You're able to do that within HuntStand and then keep everything organized. So rather than just having pins all over the place for different types of properties you hunt, they're all organized in one location, and that's what we refer to as a hunt area. So the more you use HuntStand, the more locations you hunt, the more hunt areas you're going to want to create. And then all the weather information and location-based information is tied directly to that location for where you create the hunt area.
You may accidentally set the home location for your hunt area for the wrong hunting property. You may accidentally set it for your house, where you're e-scouting, or wherever it may be. And that's going to affect multitude of things for that hunt area. It's going to affect your whitetail activity forecast. It's going to affect weather and other things. So you're going to need to adjust that. I want to show you guys how to do that. It's super simple. You're going to select that drop-down menu again, hit the Manage Hunt Areas. You're going to select the hunt area that you want to change this to by selecting the drop-down menu. And you're going to have a couple options here where it's going to have Set as Current Hunt Area Settings, other options. You want to select Hunt Area Settings. From there, you're going to notice a small crosshair up in the top right corner. You're going to select that. You are now going to have the capability to drop the home for that hunt area so you get accurate readings and info for that area. So just like setting your hunt area, you can either swipe over, find your hunt area, or you can search for your location via address, coordinates, or property info. From here, once you tap on the screen or wherever you set that new home marker for, you're going to have an emblem that pops up, and you will then be able to hit save, and you now have your new home location set for your hunt area.
I'm just going to add a couple more things about hunt areas. First of all, if you're a member of a hunt area, you can leave it at any time. There's an easy button right there for leaving the hunt area. That's just if you're a member to one that somebody's invited you to, maybe somewhere you don't hunt anymore and you just don't want it clogging up your list of hunt areas, you can get out of it really easily. And then if you're the owner of a hunt area, that level of flexibility you have to be able to give people different levels of access to it. Well, you can also remove them if you want to. So let's say you're an outfitter and you've just got some clients in town, you only want to give them limited time access to see the hunt area. No big deal. As soon as they're done hunting with you, you can remove them from the account. Or maybe you got a buddy in town who's hunting your property and you just want to give them limited time access to it. Same situation. So Hunt areas are really nice from a bunch of different management perspectives for keeping things in order, under control for the places you hunt. And I think you're really going to enjoy using them.
All right, so now that y'all have a general understanding of hunt areas, what they are, how to use them, and how to share them, I'm going to kick it over to Josh so he can go into a deeper dive for mapping.
Okay, so at its core, obviously, HuntStand is a mapping app. That's the primary use case for HuntStand. Now we have so many other deep features these days that you can use to enhance your experience, but base level, you need to know how to use it for mapping, you need to know how to use it for e-scouting, and until you fully tap into our full suite of mapping tools, it's hard to go to the next level. So we're going to start here. Now that you understand hunt areas, we're going to talk about what to do with your hunt area as it relates to mapping things out. So with this demo hunt area that we have created right here, you can see we've got a property boundary, we've got a bunch of markers dropped, we've got some trails on there, we've got some water marked. We've just started to build out this map. And what I want to show you is how to access all the map layers and the tools that you need to do this mapping. So starting from the bottom left here, this is going to give you access to our base layers, which are the base aerial imagery that you're going to apply as you're doing your mapping. So bunch of different options here. We've got hybrid, which is kind of a combination of satellite imagery and then street names and landmarks and stuff like that. No different than you would see on some other mapping platforms like Google or Apple. 3D, that's a whole nother experience. You can literally view the map in 3D. You can fly through it almost like you're a drone flying through an area, see all the terrain and all that. We'll show you what that looks like here in a second. But going down the line, we've got monthly satellite. That's really cool. It's not super high resolution, but what it is it's recent. So you can see going back several years, monthly satellite imagery for your hunt area by month, and we update that every month. So you can see major landscape changes, whether we're talking about like burns or snow cover or water or timber cuts, anything that might be a major landscape change. Really nice to be able to see in the monthly satellite view. Going down from there, we've got natural atlas, we got quad topo, national aerial imagery, the satellite view, another Mapbox satellite type of view, the outdoor base layer, terrain, and streets. I'm not going to go into each of these in depth. If you tap on the drop down arrow here next to any of them, it's going to give you a short description of what that base layer actually is. But you're going to want to play around with those because each of them have a little bit different look to them, a little bit different use cases for them. I really like to use satellite a lot, but then something like our national aerial imagery is super high resolution. It's a higher zoom level, and for certain parts of the country, you're going to have an unprecedented view of what that landscape looks like because of that high resolution. So I really encourage you to just go through these and test them, different parts of the country. They're updated by the map providers where we source these maps from on a regular basis, but the cadences are all a little bit different depending on who it's coming from. So when it comes to leaf off and things like that, there might be certain map layers that just accommodate your situation better as you're doing your mapping and e-scouting. So the next thing we'll go to here are the map overlays. So once you have your base map selected, when you go to the overlays, you're going to be able to overlay more mapping data on top of your base map. So with property info, for instance, that's going to give you nationwide access to property lines and landowner information for all 50 states. Whether you're in HuntStand Pro or in HuntStand Pro Whitetail membership levels, any of our premium level memberships at HuntStand include that property information. It's a very, very popular tool, powerful tool. I'm a big person when it comes to permission properties, so I like to knock on doors. And it sure is nice to be able to go up and knock on a door to get hunting permission and be able to address somebody by their name. Automatically kind of opens up that level with them, brings you to the next trust level. And whether it's that or you just want to know who your neighbor is, or you want to be able to communicate with somebody in the area, or just see where the property boundary is to make sure you're in the right spot and you're not crossing those lines, great tool, invaluable tool to have in HuntStand. Some other overlays we have here, hunting lands, for instance. As you can see, we did create this demo hunt area here for this hunt class on some public land. So hopefully, like Will said earlier, we're not burning a spot for too many of you guys out there. I'm sure maybe a few people watching this might hunt this by chance. But as you can see here, with this overlay, you're able to see where a bunch of publicly accessible hunting lands are all the way across the United States.
So I do want to interject here real quick. And one thing I want to note is that from this overlay, what's really nice is when you do find that piece of public or hunting land, you're able to zoom in and select that area. So Josh is going to pick one here real quick, and you're able to tap on that. And when you select save, it's actually going to save the boundary of that piece that you've got right there. So you don't have to go in and create a bunch of different lines. It's really nice. So you've got that saved, and you know where you can and can't go from that point, and you can do all your mapping from within that boundary.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Whether you're in the property info overlay or in the hunting lands or public lands, it allows you to save those boundaries really easily. So even when you don't have those layers toggled on anymore and you're just using some of your other regular base maps, you're going to be able to see where those boundaries are. So you don't have to go through and manually create the boundaries. That is something that you can do, and we'll talk about in a little while with a different tool. But when it comes to outlining property boundaries, HuntStand makes it really easy, whether it's private or public land, depending on what overlay you're using. So getting back into some of these other overlays, nationwide rut map. Talk about a cool tool. Another one that's part of the HuntStand Pro Whitetail membership, created by our man Brian Murphy. It's the first nationwide rut date map that's ever been created for everywhere in the whitetails range, or just about everywhere in the whitetails range. So what you're going to see here as you zoom out is we've got it broken down. You know, there's no whitetails in these areas right here where there are blank spots, but everywhere else where whitetails reside, we've got it broken down on a really, really granular level. So you can zoom in and see down to an individual deer herd when their specific rut dates are. And these aren't just the best guess that somebody put out or a panel of experts just said, you know, hey, these are what the rut dates are. This is actually based off real scientific data by state biologists. Not to get too far into the weeds, but the main way that they do this is by fetal measurements that they take out of whitetail does to figure out exactly when that deer was actually, when the inception time was for that deer. So it's extremely, extremely accurate, and they're able to cross-reference that and figure out exactly what the rut dates are for all those areas. That's another tool in HuntStand Pro Whitetail.
If you're trying to plan a rut hunt, it's really nice to be able to look at that and kind of base your fall off of that if you're trying to go in on that peak rut time.
Yeah, it is, because a lot of people think the rut is at a certain time, just based off anecdotal stuff or you know, maybe what their grandpa told them. But I hate to break it to you, the rut dates everywhere are really, really, really precisely consistent. They don't really fluctuate, even based off of moon phase or weather conditions or anything like that. The deer are going to rut when they are programmed to rut, and that doesn't fluctuate. So what we give you here is the exact dates of when that's going to happen, not just based off a hearsay or a wives' tale or something like that. So like Will was saying, it's really nice to be able to plan your season. If you're a deer hunter and you want to hunt around the rut, this is going to allow you to do it in the most accurate way if that's something that you care about, if you're wanting to go after those whitetails when they're rutting. So going down from that, another feature of HuntStand Pro Whitetail, the whitetail habitat map. This is just a nice quick snapshot of some hot spots where whitetails are most likely to exist or where they're most likely to have a decent population. So this is more of a macro level scouting tool. As you zoom in, you can see that there are some red pockets. And again, from a macro landscape level, those are just areas that whitetails are most likely to exist. So once you kind of have that identified, you can switch back to just a regular map view, and you can start to understand the picture of what that terrain looks like and just kind of use that as a starting point to figure out where you might want to hunt deer. Of course, that's mainly going to work for if you're a traveling hunter, you're hunting somewhere unfamiliar, you need to get some quick intel and make some quick decisions. You're not going to use it for your backyard because you already know if there's going to be deer there in the first place. But if you're going somewhere new, that can be a really nice starting point by using that whitetail habitat map. And then the same goes for tree cover. The tree cover layer is great for a bunch of different types of hunting, turkey hunting, deer hunting. Coming into turkey season right now, anywhere you are in the country except Hawaii, turkeys need trees to roost. So if you're just looking at a macro level and you want a starting point for an area that you're about to approach to go turkey hunting, you need to find somewhere where there's going to be trees. This tree cover overlay gives you a really quick look at all those areas, and it can be even faster than just looking at the satellite map. So another macro level scouting tool. Next one down the line is our crop history overlay. Now this is cool because it gives you a really easy, quick look at where there have classically been agricultural crops grown in an area. So you got corn, you got beans, you got stuff like alfalfa, all these different options in here. As you zoom in and as you tap on these, you can get some information about what kind of crop data there is for that area. Now, as you enhance your knowledge base on how things work with farming and agriculture as it relates to hunting, you're going to put together some common themes, like if you got corn and beans in an area, typically they're on a crop rotation where if it's corn one year, it's going to be beans the next year. So that can definitely influence the seasonality of what deer are doing. If you're going to hunt somewhere in the early season, you got a nice bean field that's still green, it's nice to know that it's there before you get there. Or if it's going to be corn, it's going to be better later in the season, it's nice to know in advance what that's most likely to be and what they're most likely going to be planting. Even if you're just hunting public land, you're going to be a lot better off, most likely, hunting in an area that has adjacent agriculture. So just one more tool you can have in your arsenal to try to analyze an area as you're doing your e-scouting. Another layer here that we have in the overlays would be the contour layer. And this is one of several different ways you can analyze the terrain as you're doing your mapping in HuntStand, is with this contour layer. And so you can see we've got all these contour lines here. Just a really nice way to be able to analyze the terrain and figure out patterns and entrance and exit routes and all the other things that you would need to look at terrain for as a whitetail hunter, turkey hunter, it doesn't matter what type of hunting. Out west, in the east and the Midwest, any level of terrain can make a big difference for how you're planning your hunt. So we give you plenty of options for that with our different map types. As you go over here in the options, we've also got weather overlays. So this is taking our regular weather forecasting, our base level weather forecasting, and bringing it to the next level, giving you map overlays. So I won't go through each of them in detail, but as you can see here, I'll turn off this contour layer, and then I will turn on our temperature overlay, for instance. So as you can see, just gives you a different look at what the weather is for an area. Or let's say I want to toggle over to the radar, which is a very common one that people like to be able to use. Make sure you're preparing for any moisture that might be coming in. Gives you that weather radar right there on the map. So just the next level of weather forecasting that we offer in HuntStand. All right, so now that I've covered the base map options and the overlays, I'm going to kick it over to Will. He's going to get into some of the more fun part of this, which is actually marking up the map, using map markers and some of the interactive tools that we have in HuntStand for your whole mapping and e-scouting experience.
So now that you've got a pretty basic understanding of all the different base layers and overlays that are available within HuntStand, next thing you want to do is you want to start marking up stuff. So you can see that Josh and I have this hunt area nice marked up, killer spot, killer hunt area, and we want to start getting this thing marked up a little bit more. So I want to teach you guys how to add a map marker. Now the most obvious, we've got this giant map marker button down here at the bottom. If you tap that, you're going to have some different ways that you can add a map marker, from either your location, which in this case, we're not actually at the hunt area, so I wouldn't select that option. You've got coordinates that you can enter, or you can just simply tap on the screen where you want that map marker to go. So Josh has got this food plot set up, and I want to add a hang-on stand there because that looks like a great place to put a hang-on. Now, once you have that selected where you want that marker to go, you're going to have an icon that populates, and then you're going to have this pull-up menu that shows up, and it's going to have different settings for that map marker. You can change everything from the color. You're going to have all these different categories of map markers, and for HuntStand, we pretty much have a map marker for anything and everything out there. So in this case, I'm going to select stands, and I want that hang-on stand to go there. I like for my colors for all my stand locations to be purple. You can categorize these however you want. You can change the color to whatever you want for whatever marker you have out there. So I like that purple color. I'm going to select that. And you also have the capability to add some notes, descriptions of that hang-on, whatever you want for that map marker. You can also change the name. But once you get that selected, you just simply tap save, and that map marker is now placed. But I do want to show you guys one other way that you can add a map marker, and that is to do a long press hold. So you're just going to simply hold on the screen where you want that map marker to go, and it's going to pull up that icon, and you're going to have the same capability to add whatever marker you want. So another thing about map markers that I want to talk to you guys about is the ability to share single map objects, whether that's markers, trails, food plots. You can share it all if you don't want a buddy to have an entire view on your hunt area. So for this use case, I've got a gate right here that's selected on this hunt area, and I've got a buddy that wants to come into this piece of property, but I don't want to give him everything. You know, so that's what we do as buddies. So I have the capability to share this with him, and when you tap on that marker, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can either choose to copy and paste the coordinates into a text message that you send to him, or you can either select the share button there, and what that's going to do, it's going to prompt a link that you can then text to that person so they're able to pull up that map object and then drop it into their hunt area. So it's pretty nice to be able to have that feature if you don't want to share an entire hunt area with someone. Another really cool thing we have within HuntStand is our directions feature. Now what this gives you the ability to do, if you share a map marker with a friend, they will then have the capability, like this gate right here, to select that map marker, and then you will then see directions down here in this drop-down menu where they will be able to select that and then open it up in whatever mobile device they're in, their native mapping software. So in this case, we're on iOS. We'll be able to pull it up into Apple Maps, and they'll be able to navigate to that gate or whatever map marker you sent them. Now, when using directions, it's not going to take that person directly to a tree stand, through the trails, over the hills, and through the woods. It's only going to take them to the nearest public navigable roadway. So in this case, you see we have a gate marked right here, so it's going to take them pretty close to that gate, whereas all these tree stands you see in here, or even that parking spot, it's only going to take them to the nearest navigable point.
So one of the cool parts about having all these different options for your map markers and the different tools you can use to mark up your maps is the filtering capability. You know, when you really start to build these things out, I'd say we've scratched the surface on this one that we're building for the demo, but there's still a lot of work to be done. If this is somewhere where I was hunting, that map is going to be a lot busier as I build it out. Sometimes you might not want to see all that stuff on the map. So by using the filtering, you can turn different marker styles on and off. So for instance, if all you want to see is the stands on a property and you don't want to see all the other stuff, you just select stands and you're going to see all your stands right there. And if you decide that maybe you want to make an edit to any of your existing map markers, that's something you can do as well. Will's going to show you that.
So there's an easy way to edit your markers. If you want to change the color, or the stand's just not simply going to be there anymore, or whatever that marker is, it's not there. There's a simple way that you can edit that or just delete it. So you're simply just going to tap on that map marker or on that object. You're going to hit edit, and then you'll either have the ability to change the color, you can change the name, and you can also change what the marker is itself, or if that hang-on's not there anymore like we have in this case, I'm just going to simply delete it, confirm, no longer there. So now that you know how to add a marker, I want to go over a couple of our tools within HuntStand. And there's 3 draw tools I want to go over with you, and that's shape, line, and track. So the first one I want to go through with you guys is shape. And it's easy to get to this menu. From your general mapping screen, you're going to see 2 little tools down below in that icon. You're going to tap that, and you'll be able to see shape, line, track, and I'm going to select shape. Now, what is this for? This is going to be for figuring out food plot acreage. You want to figure out how much seed you need to put down whatever you're planting. So the easiest way to do that, you're going to have this cursor that pops up. We've got this food plot within our hunt area that we hadn't marked up yet. And so I'm just going to simply drop points on each corner of this food plot, and you can follow it as finite as you want to get. And in some cases, you need that so you can get a pretty good estimate at how big this field is and how much seed you're going to need. So I'm just going to drop these points in real quick. You can see it's not a perfect food plot. And once you get that set to where you want it, you're going to see this area highlighted right here. So once you got that food plot, all the points set, you're going to hit save. And then you're going to have the ability, just like editing a marker, you're going to have the ability to edit this shape. And we give a couple of different shape types below, from boundaries, food plots, and other options. So for this one, we got a food plot. We can name it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to be putting some clover down. And you can also select the different fill colors in addition to the boundary colors of what that food plot looks like, as well as the fill opacity. So you can adjust that on whatever layer you want. So I'm going to drop that down because I like a lower opacity within my mapping. You can also drop in notes from the acreage. So if you're looking at a seed bag while you're at the store trying to pick up seed, you can note how much you're going to need. So you can save that, and you can now see we've got a food plot right there. So just like map markers, you have the capability to tap on that shape that you just created, and it's going to give you information such as the name you created, the acreage or the area for that shape, in addition to soil data. So you've got a drop-down menu here so you can get an idea of what kind of soil type you have before you begin planting.
You know, you mentioned using the shape tool for food plots, which probably is the most common use that people use it for. But I think it's important to note that there are other use cases for it. So some of them, the shape types, as you're creating it, kind of indicate what those might be. So a boundary, if you want to do a free-form boundary where you're not using our property info or our public land or hunting land info, like we showed you earlier, you know, you can use those and you can tap on them and it'll automatically create a boundary for you. But if you want to do more of a free-form boundary, whether it be a food plot or just a full-out property boundary, or just a sector of your property that for some reason you want to outline. Maybe it's a certain block of timber where you're going to have a timber harvest, or like we have here is one of the pre-made marker names, sanctuary. If you want to totally map out the area of where a deer sanctuary is, somewhere that you never go into, or even a water source if you want to put a whole border or boundary around a pond or any kind of water source so it's easier to see on the map versus just using the water map marker. A lot of different use cases for that shape tool. And I find myself using it quite often along with the map markers. And then the other one that we have that's really nice is the line tool.
Yeah, the line tool is actually something that's pretty key that I utilize heavily, especially on pieces of property that somebody may be coming out to hunt with me the first time, or I'm stepping foot on a property for the first time and somebody shared that area with me. I want to know where to park and how to walk into a stand. So not only is that key, but it's also a safety feature as well, so you don't get lost in the dark and go bump a bunch of deer throughout the night. So a lot of times I'll come in and, you know, if it's my property or somewhere I'm going, I'll have a parking marker that will be set up already. So we just made that one real quick, and we've got this tree stand down here. I've never been there before, have no idea how to get to it, but I can use HuntStand to help me get there. And so you just simply access the line tool by hitting that tool icon again down at the bottom left, and then you've got this squiggly line that denotes line. And just like a shape tool, you'll have the capability to start with an icon. So a lot of times I'll start that wherever I am parked, and then I will set markers following this trail below to get to my stand. And one thing to note as well, as you are placing a line, you will notice that it is actually measuring the distance for you, and you have the capability to change that distance depending on what your preference is. You can change it from feet to yards or even miles. It just depends on what your preference is. And so I'll come in, continue marking that up, and you can also, just like a shape, you can zoom in and get as finite with that line as you want. But this is just merely a guidance tool to help me get into the stand. I can set that just how I want it. So once you get that line set to where you want it, simply tap save. And just like a marker and shape, you have the capability to select what your line type is. You can name it, and it's going to give you your distance as well. And then you can also select the color. So this is just simply a path. We'll just denote it walk in. We're going to save it. And you can see there, I've got that line saved for a path, so I know exactly what my walk-in is going to be for that hang-on.
Yeah, I use that line tool a lot for drawn out paths like this, or trails, that type of thing. I'll also use it sometimes, like if I'm trying to visualize where a deer might travel from one point to another as I'm e-scouting and looking at the terrain, trying to figure out what those patterns might be.
That's a good one.
The other thing is just on the most basic level, using it as a rangefinder. If you're in a pinch, you can use it in the field as a rangefinder, but also as you're doing that e-scouting and you're mapping out an area to try to figure out where you might want to sit and what your shot distance might be, it's a really nice reference to be able to figure out some quick distances so that you don't put yourself in a position where your next thing you know, you're setting up a tree stand in the dark and then you realize that you're not even in the game because you're 10 or 20 yards off, or if you're with a rifle, maybe you're 100 yards too far off. So using that line tool as a rangefinder is also really helpful.
Yeah, that's really key. That is really key. So the other tool I want to go over with you guys is track. Josh briefly touched on it earlier, but where this will come in handy, and again, it's accessible just from that same tool icon, but you can select that. Now you can see we're in a big city, and as soon as I hit start, it's going to track my movement. Where I'm going to use this, I've used it a lot of times when blood tracking a deer. It comes in clutch, it's super key, because what it helps you do is eliminate areas you've already been to. So if you're needing to grid search because it was bad shot placement or whatever the case may be with that animal, you can eliminate areas you've been to so you're not doubling back. We've all been there before where you're going through trees, you get just disoriented. And so it's nice to be able to have that to look back on and grid search and hopefully find that animal.
Yeah, that track tool, just like the others, so many different applications. I've used it a lot for blood trailing, just like you're talking about, especially if you have to do a grid. If you got a deer you just can't find, you want to make sure you leave no stone unturned. So being able to see exactly where you've walked, sometimes it could be the difference between being just 20 yards off. If you're trying to walk a grid, that deer might be in those 20 yards. So blood trailing or going in and out of a hunting spot for the first time, a lot of times you might have to go around obstacles that you don't know are there in the dark, and you need to be able to get your way back out smoothly. So being able to retrace your footsteps, it's really helpful for that. Or even if you're trying to be really, really precise about laying down boundaries for something like a food plot, you put in a new plot or you cut a new trail or whatever it might be, you can actually use that track tool and walk the boundary of the food plot to get it perfect, or walk down that new trail that you just cut out on your property so you know exactly where it is and you're not just eyeballing it off the map. So it's a precision tool, something that you want to use while you're in the field, and we use a lot of different ways.
One thing I'll add on top of that, it's really nice to have that when you're stepping foot on a property for the first time. If you got a new lease and the landowner's taking you around, I will turn that on as we're in the truck, because a lot of times that landowner is going to take you down every road. So I want to know where every road is, because too many times I've been to a property and I have no idea where that road leads me. So it's nice to be able to have that, and it highlights that on the property as well. So super beneficial feature to have. Similar to the draw features, in that same tool icon map menu, there is what we have denoted as measure tools. So you can also get area, you can also get distance, and what that's going to do, it's the same thing as shape, it's the same thing as line. The only difference is you just won't be able to save those. So same thing, just not having the capability to save. All right, so finally, one of my favorite features within HuntStand is our compass and rangefinder tool. And to get to that, you're simply going to tap on the location button in the bottom right. It's going to take you directly to your location. Obviously, we're in the big city right now, so I'm going to give you all the best use case scenario as possible right here. I'm going to tap that button twice, and it's going to put me into our compass and rangefinder tool. So wherever I point, that is going to go in that direction. So another nice thing about this, let's say we got a big gobbler there in the backside of that parking lot. I can then long press to add a turkey marker. I can add that because I think I hear a gobbler in a field. And now I have the capability to zoom in with that rangefinder tool and give me the best guesstimate of where that gobbler potentially is, so I can make a play on him.
So we've gotten through a lot here already today, and I just want to remind you guys that you can leave a comment below, ask us any questions you want. We're going to be responding to those while this thing is premiering, but then we're also going to revisit it after the HuntClass, and we'll drop in periodically to help answer your questions and fast track some support issues if you have anything like that. So we are going to cover some more things, but I just wanted to remind you, drop that comment and be sure to stick around until the end, because we are going to be giving away a prize package during this live event, and we will share those details later. One thing I wanted to cut into real quick, Will just covered a bunch of stuff in regards to mapping and marking up your maps. I touched on the weather aspects of HuntStand earlier with our weather forecasts, our whitetail activity forecast, our weather overlays that you can apply on the map. That's one really cool part about HuntStand and differentiator from some of our competition, is just the level of depth that we offer in the mapping experience, and that does include weather conditions, which, as we all know, are really, really critical to a lot of aspects of hunting, no matter what type of hunter you are. And as a big game hunter, as a whitetail hunter, there's probably nothing more important to consider when it comes to weather than wind conditions. And the same goes for waterfowl hunters, actually. But our HuntZone feature that we have right here in the app that Will is going to activate right now is an hour-by-hour visual wind forecast that shows you exactly where your scent is going to be blowing from any given location. So as you're strategizing your hunts, you can figure out where you want to sit and do it with precision hour by hour. So let's say you're planning your morning hunt, you know that the wind is going to shift a couple hours after sunrise and you need to make a move. This just helps you visualize where that scent is going to be blowing and how it's going to be impacting your footprint on a property as you're hunting these big game animals, especially whitetails. Hour by hour, it goes out several days. Really, really helpful tool. And then on the flip side, for waterfowl hunters, if you're laying out decoy spreads, whether it be on the water or in fields, we've got the LandZone feature. And the opposite of where your scent is going to be blowing, you want to think about where your wind is going to be blowing, because most likely those ducks and geese are going to be landing into the wind. So it gives you this visual representation of where the wind is going to be blowing, how the birds are going to be setting into your spread. So in a case like this, Thursday, we got 4 a.m., probably won't be hunting at 4 a.m., so bump it out to 7 a.m. So 7 a.m., 6 mile per hour wind out of the south. If it were me and I were duck hunting or goose hunting on this field right here, I'd probably put my decoys somewhere in here so those ducks are landing right in your face, or maybe you're sitting over here so they're crossing. But the bottom line is, two really cool integrated features in HuntStand that not only show you where the wind is going to be blowing, but how to use it to your advantage. So we're kind of making our way through the tools menu here. We have bounced around a little bit, just what we thought was logical order. And the next thing we want to cover that's going to be really important for a lot of you whitetail hunters out there especially is how you can use HuntStand to manage your trail cameras. So I'm going to have Will cover that one and he'll take it from here.
So this tool is accessible within that same tools icon we've been using already, and you can just simply select manage trail cameras, and you can see that we already have a trail cam marker here populated, and it's going to automatically populate all your trail cam markers you have on your property. You're not going to see any of your other map markers available. We had that whole entire hunt area set up completely dialed in with a bunch of markers, so you're just going to see those trail cameras. So you'll be able to access all of your trail cameras there. And then the other really nice thing about this tool set is HuntStand has the capability to connect to your Command Pro app if you're a stealth cam or muddy camera user. And so super simple to be able to do that. You just simply tap that Command Pro icon that you saw there, and then you will then have the capability to log in to your account. So once you get your login credentials entered into the Command Pro app module here, you're just going to simply log in, and then you're going to have the capability to select your active cameras that you have set up already. So I've got a couple of cameras set up on property back home. I'm going to get those selected so you guys can see. So once you get your cameras selected, you will then be able to see them on your general map view. Now this is different than the hunt area that Josh and I set up prior. This is place of mine back home, but you can see where I had those cameras placed. Now, before getting the integration connected with HuntStand, I already had these cameras placed in the Command Pro app. So you can see on your piece of property where they are, and then you have the capability to tap on that camera, and then from that drop-down menu, you have a drop-down that you can then get a quick preview of all of your images. So this is pretty nice to have for a few reasons. If you have friends, buddies that are on that lease with you, they may not have access to your Command Pro cameras, but if they have access to your hunt area, they can get these previews of deer that are on your property or turkeys or whatnot. So if y'all have a shooter buck that is either in multiple places, they know what buck is in the clear, what bucks are non-shooters, et cetera, et cetera. So it's pretty nice to have that within your hunt area. Now we've kind of gone over some of these different tool sets. I'm gonna hand it over to Josh, and he's gonna go over some of the different sharing features that HuntStand can provide.
Yeah, so since HuntStand has such a rabid whitetail following, we built out a special tool for stand reservations. It's something that is very helpful for people who are members of hunt clubs, especially down in a lot of the southern states where hunt clubs are a big thing, or if you've got a lease with multiple friends, anywhere you're sharing a property where you need to be able to communicate who's going to be hunting at different stands at different times for both strategy and for safety reasons, we have a tool for that. So once again, accessing that tools menu from the bottom that we've been in for a while here now, and you tap right here on reservations and stands, and what that's going to do, it's going to open up the map view. It's going to show all your stands, and then if you want to, you can tap this button right here, and it'll show them all in a list form. Or if you want to go back strictly to the map view, it'll show all your stands there. You can tap on any of those stands, and it's going to allow you to make a reservation by tapping on that reservations button. So as you reserve a stand, you can choose a specific date and time, and then anybody who's a member of that group hunt area is going to know that you have that stand during that time, so you're not going to be stepping on each other's toes. It's just a really, really helpful tool, especially when you have a bunch of stands and a bunch of people hunting the same property. All right, we've made our way through the tools menu now, ending with stand reservations, but that's a good segue into one of the other collaborative aspects of HuntStand that allows you to work with multiple people on the hunt, and that would be the Friends feature. So I accessed that by tapping on that upper right menu there with the three lines that we call the hamburger menu. So you tap that, see the Friends option, And within here, you can add other HuntStand users who are in the ecosystem. So as long as you have their HuntStand email address that they use for their account, you can add them right here by using that plus button in the upper right corner. You pop in their email address, it sends a request to them, and then they can accept the request. I've already got a couple of friends added here. Ironically, the only 2 friends I have are myself, which is kind of a bummer. But for demonstration purposes, what this is going to allow you to do is share your real-time location with your friends. And it's pretty easy. You just add them, like I just told you, and then if you want to share your location, you turn on that toggle down there to share your location, and then you can view everything on the map, and you will be able to see all your friends in real time on the map.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty nice feature to have for a few reasons. Number one, I would have to say all the wives out there that dealing with all of us husbands that like to go hunting, sometimes we don't have great service or we're not real responsive because we might have a big buck in front of us and she's wondering why we're not home yet. So it's really good for loved ones to be able to look at that. And another good use case scenario is you can use this for trailing a shot animal. I know quite a few guys that have used this before, that there might be 4, 5, 6 people out there that it helps everybody get a good understanding of where you are in the field, because you may not be within talking distance and you're not wanting to yell. So it just gives you a good idea of where everybody is. So it's got a lot of good use cases and the ability that it can help you with.
All right, so we really only have a couple more things to wrap up here to put this thing together. And jumping back up into that upper right hamburger menu, Solunar. It's pretty helpful to know when the sun rises and the sun is going to set when you're a hunter, so you're out there at the proper times and whatnot. So got sunrise and sunset times for your hunt area. We've also got some additional lunar information, moonrise, moonset, the overhead and the underfoot if you pay attention to that kind of stuff. And then we've also got peak game activity times, both the AM and PM minors and majors. I know a lot of people really like to rely on those and put a lot of stock in them. So if that's you, we have them available here. Just another feature to help you hunt more effectively and use the most of your time, just like we have with the whitetail activity forecast. Just one more tool in your arsenal to make the most of your time out there. So if you want to download a new offline map for a hunt area, you just tap the download map button right here.
Which we recommend doing on Wi-Fi.
Yes, absolutely. You're best off doing this when you have a solid Wi-Fi connection, because the offline map is going to save to your local storage on whatever device you're using. So you need to make sure you have enough storage on the device for it to save that area. And then once you go to choose to do that, you're going to be able to select the block that you want to save for offline maps. And it'll show you how big the area is and how much memory it's going to take up in your device when you do it. So once you select the area that you want to download, you simply hit download in the upper right there. You can give it a name, you hit submit, and then that map is going to download. And so to access your offline maps, it's easy. They're just going to show up when you don't have service and you're out there and you want to view a hunt area that you have downloaded for offline. It's just automatically going to be there on your map. Now, one thing that you might run into is if you're in an area that has intermittent cell phone service where it's kind of bouncing in and out between service, that might give you a little bit of trouble, but we've got that solved as well. So back to that tools menu, you're going to see the go offline mode. When you tap that, it's going to tell HuntStand that you're offline. It's not going to be trying to fight for a cell phone connection that might be coming and going. And so you're going to have a consistent view of that map that you downloaded for offline use. I got to say, this is probably the most comprehensive single run-through we've ever done of the HuntStand app in history. We've had a lot of content and videos and articles and stuff out there, podcast episodes, you name it. But in terms of the nitty-gritty, getting down to every single aspect of the app, I think this is the deepest we've gone. So hopefully you guys have found this helpful. We've enjoyed doing it, and we're going to have more hunt classes in the future for sure, where we get more into the use cases for individual features, where we talk strategy, where we talk about some more other fun aspects of hunting beyond just how to use the app. But we really enjoy doing these, so hopefully you guys enjoy attending. And we've answered a lot of your questions here in this live event. We're going to follow up and answer any other questions that you post here underneath this video here on YouTube. And we're always here for you. So if you want to reach out to us, there are a lot of ways to do so. A big way to do that is through the app. That's really helpful for us.
Yeah, if you just hit that profile button there at the top when you're in the dashboard view, you're going to have the ability to contact us. So if you got any questions, concerns, you want to reach out to us about something, please send us an email via hitting that contact us button. And that way we can make sure that we take care of you. And then not only that, thank you to everybody that's stuck around for this whole premiere so far. We've enjoyed all the comments. Hopefully we've answered a lot of questions for y'all that you've had out there. But Josh, tell us about this giveaway.
Yeah, so for everybody who stuck it out with us here for the live premiere, we're giving away a sweet prize package that we're going to pop up on the screen right now. Everybody who is still here is eligible to win. All you got to do is just pop a thumbs up down there in the comment section, or just leave a comment that says you're still here. We will reach out to you individually. We're going to select a random winner, and to whoever that person is, congrats. You're going to really love this prize package. And once again, we just thank you for coming here. Keep your eyes open in our emails, our social media, everything else. We're going to have a lot more of these hunt classes coming. We'll see you down the road.